Hey, this is Sanyam Bhutani, and you're listening to Chai Time Data Science, a podcast for data science enthusiasts where I interview practitioners, researchers, and Kagglers about their journey, experience, and talk all things about data science. Hello and welcome to the first episode. This is also part 26 of Interview with Machine Learning Heroes. In this episode, I'm honored to be joined by Abhishek Thakur, Chief Data Scientist at Boost.ai, and also the world's first, and at the time of recording, only triple Grandmaster on Kaggle. Abhishek has been working as a data scientist for the past few years. He also has a background in computer science with a master's degree from the University of Bonn. We talk about his journey into data science, his Kaggle experience, and his current projects. Enjoy the show. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm really honored to be talking to the world's first triple grandmaster today. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview, Abhishek.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
Today, you're the world's only triple grandmaster on Kaggle. Congratulations on the accomplishment. You're also working as the chief data scientist at Boost.ai, and you've been working in this field for quite a while now. So, could you tell us what got you interested in data science at first?
Yeah, cool story. So, data science was never my interest. I didn't even know what data science or machine learning is. So I was working on image processing problems since my bachelor's. So I'm an electronics engineer and I'm not good at it, but I was good at signal processing. So I was working at fingerprint recognition, like very old techniques, but that works.
And this was before the boom had happened and before all these frameworks were out there. When was this?
Yeah, before, long way back. Like I'm talking about 2010 now.
Got it.
2010. So after that, when I moved to Bonn to do my masters, during the time I was again working in front offer on image processing, OCR recognition.
Right.
And my friends were also working there, and they were all talking about natural language processing and neural networks, machine learning. I was like, what the heck is that? And everyone is talking about it. So I started taking a course at the university. So I was doing masters in computer science, but I was more interested in computer vision and image processing rather than machine learning stuff.
Yeah.
But that course, I didn't like it that much. So I gave up on machine learning and continued with image processing. But at some point, I developed more interest on my own.
And I'm sorry, this is when there was a distinction between image processing and like using machine learning or deep learning. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So nowadays, people talk about computer vision and automatically it's deep
sort
learning.
of synonymous. Yeah.
But at that time, there was a huge distinction between these two. And then my thesis exposed me again to nearest neighbors.
Okay.
And then I started learning on my own, and I remembered somebody had told me about Kaggle. So I joined Kaggle. I started with the competition, very basic stuff,
right,
which didn't even work for me. And after that, I learned by the solutions that people were sharing. So some people were talking about neural networks and what deep belief networks are. Nobody talks about deep DBNs these days.
Yeah.
So I started reading papers. I also had a lot of time as I was a student, so I could read a lot of papers and implement some papers.
Right.
So whatever I learned on my own.
Got it. And like once you got introduced to Kaggle, was this immediately when you got bitten by the Kaggle bug, or when did you get finally addicted to Kaggle that hey, you decided to do this as a second full
So
time job?
I think so. The first competition I did was image processing competition.
Mhm.
Sorry, not image processing. It was a computer vision competition
Okay.
detecting emotion,
Mhm.
and that didn't work out for me. And after I think it was competition from Amazon, and people shared quite a lot of tricks and techniques. Like one hot encoder used to be a technique at that time.
Okay.
So it was shared, and I was like I was going through it,
Mhm.
and I invested quite a lot of time in that competition. It was a big competition, and I ended up on 16th rank.
Wow.
Yeah,
So this
and
was your second competition, right?
this was my this was my second competition, second
Okay.
or third. I don't remember
Okay. So
actually.
still like one of the first competitions for you.
One of the first competitions, yes, it was one
Mhm.
of those first competitions where I failed badly, and then in this competition I got a good rank.
Got it.
So and it was all because of what I learned from the previous competitions.
Mhm.
So what kind of techniques people are using and reading about them,
Yeah.
and doing this competition all alone
Mhm.
without a team.
Okay.
So and after that, I needed a job too.
Mhm.
I was finishing my masters, and Kaggle let me build my profile quite a lot. So I had some competitions to show in my portfolio how to approach problems,
Right.
machine learning problems, these kind of things. So
Mhm.
then I never gave up on Kaggle. So I just
Got it.
continued from there.
Lu- Luckily for us, you never gave up.
Yeah.
And you're currently working as the chief data scientist at Boost.ai. So could you tell us more about the projects you're working on, and if Kaggle comes into the picture, like is it related
Yeah.
to the projects at work?
So at Boost AI, we are building conversational AI or chatbots,
Hmm.
and it's all about natural language processing.
Okay.
So um, from the very basic steps like stemming,
Hmm.
tokenization,
Hmm.
to the end building a machine learning model, building neural networks,
Right.
or building some more algorithms on top of it.
Hmm.
So um, that's what we do. That's what I do at
Okay.
Boost. So I manage the machine learning team and everything inside the natural language processing area
Got it.
or
Oh.
natural language understanding. How Kaggle is connected? So I got introduced to NLP by Kaggle. So it was again a competition from Stumble Upon,
Mhm.
and there I learned these techniques, how to handle text data, how to clean text data.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that I just reused from past,
From
and
your
I've worked,
Kaggle pipelines.
yeah, from my Kaggle and from other industries that I've worked in. So I've worked on
Hmm.
quite a lot of NLP related industries,
Hmm.
and that knowledge was pretty useful.
Right.
So I just transfer it from Kaggle or from different other industries.
Hmm.
Also, like you, the time that you spent in building machine learning models and industries is quite small. So it's more about cleaning data and processing data,
Yeah.
and that I think you can learn a lot about it from Kaggle.
Hmm. Got it.
Yeah, that's how it was connected.
Also interesting that you mentioned the traditional NLP approaches are also, I believe, being used by you. So where do you make that distinction at work? So how do you know that you could apply machine learning to a project or a chatbot, or you could automate that thing using machine learning, broadly speaking?
So traditional machine learning approaches for text in in my company.
Yeah. So like where do you make that distinction of how much machine learning are you going to be using, or traditional techniques versus machine learning?
Oh, it's a difficult. So okay, let's talk about the company I'm working in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have conversational AI,
Mm-hmm.
and if you look at uh, how chatbots are built, a very simple way of doing that, or not so simple, is intent classification.
Okay.
So intent classification is basically classifying every text to an intent, or let's say it's just a text classification problem.
Yeah.
So you start from the very basic. I like to start from the very basics. So what I would do is no text cleaning
Okay.
and just throw in a TF-IDF and logistic regression or SVM and see what works. But when when the data size is millions of uh, texts
Right.
and thousands of classes,
Yeah.
then I think these days only neural network can handle that properly and not these
Exactly.
traditional approaches. So that's where you draw the line. But even now, if I get a problem with few samples, I
Right.
would first start with very basics like SVM or
Interesting.
logistic regression.
Got it.
Sometimes that works. And you also, I've also worked in industries where I tried to use random forest, and people said no, we cannot do that.
Okay.
Uh, and it had improved accuracy quite a lot, and we didn't use random forest.
Yeah.
It was again a classification problem, and it was giving a good result, but we ended up using logistic regression.
Okay.
And the reason for that was like, I think it was 5 years ago, and they
Okay.
had to put the model in production.
Yeah.
They wanted a response time of few milliseconds,
Got
which
it.
was not possible with random forest. So yeah, so sometimes you have to think about all these things. Nowadays, you can use neural networks, you can use ensembles and everything. You can put it on a quick GPU machine,
Yeah.
and your response time, you can do a lot of tricks to reduce the response time to
Yeah.
few hundred milliseconds.
I think that's
But
great advice. Many people also miss out that traditional algorithms do still work,
exactly,
even 2019, and also that when you look at business things, it's not about what is the current sexiest architecture you could throw at a problem, but also about these factors like response time and all other things.
exactly.
And I'm also curious, like you're one of the most active grandmasters across all three tiers now. So how do you find the balance for Kaggle and work? So how do you manage your time with Kaggle?
So I was not active last year, not that much.
Mhm.
Even the year before that, I think more than half of it, I was not that active.
Mhm.
Because of that, I lost a lot of rank. So this year, I decided to give some more time to Kaggle.
Mhm.
So um, this I wanted to be a discussion grandmaster at the end of 2018, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
It happened in 2019, and then um, I saw this jigsaw competition that was going on,
Right.
and NLP competition. I like NLP,
Mhm.
so I decided to do that. And finding time is very difficult. It's very difficult. So
Yeah.
what I do is I wake up quite early
Mhm.
most of the days, and then I work on Kaggle for a couple of hours.
Okay.
Then I go to work. I
Mhm.
come back, and then
By
I
the
work on
time the training has finished, and maybe you can look
by
at
the
that.
time training has finished.
Okay.
So yeah, so I just start some models on different machines or different servers,
Yeah.
and then I come back and the training has finished or
Got it.
probably died. So yeah, and yeah, so working quite late night on Kaggle. So yeah,
Okay.
family is not happy about it, but
Okay. So, could you tell us what is next for you? Like, will you continue competing and contributing to discussions and kernels, or will you
yeah,
want to?
definitely. So I've learned a lot. Like even when there were no kernels, I think they started kernels a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't think
So
many of people know about that. That there were no kernels, and even the
yeah,
grandmaster title was recently introduced.
yeah, it was recently introduced, and there were no kernels. And if you search for it, if you search for beating the benchmark,
Hmm.
so you will find this topic in many competitions
Hmm.
before the kernels. And I used to share a lot, and these
Okay,
were simple Python scripts that I would attach in the forums,
via
and the title.
GitHub or something.
Yeah, and title is always the same, beating the benchmark.
Okay.
Because of kernels, I cannot keep that title anymore
Yeah.
because it doesn't allow the same titles.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I used to share even before the kernels, and after the kernels, it was I think these medals and all were an incentive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will continue sharing. I have learned a lot.
Luckily for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's also good for me because when you share something, a lot of people are looking at it and commenting, and they can point out things which are wrong or how you can improve, or they can give some suggestions. So
Mhm.
even I learn from it.
Okay. But I'm also curious, like, why not keep this secret sauces to yourself? So you're also active in the discussions. You're also active. I think you've just started the Data Science India community and the Machine Learning Berlin community. So why take time out for the community? Why contribute to that?
Oh, because it's all about community. Community has given me everything. I should give back to the community.
Okay.
So, um, um, I don't really give out secret sauces.
Mhm.
I just give a basic starting point,
Right.
and people try to build something on top of it. And it's also good because if somebody is using something that I have shared,
Mhm.
so sometimes they obviously beat me in the competition, so they get a good rank, and sometimes they can offer a team up, which is good for me. Then I get
Okay.
to learn, okay, how did you modify my code?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's always good. And um, I was when I was in Berlin, I was very active in the Berlin community there.
Mhm.
I'm still organizing the meetups there.
Okay.
Uh, it's a huge community, and it's that we meet every month once.
Mhm.
And there are a couple of talks.
Okay.
So sometimes we get very good speakers also, and it's very nice to learn from experiences of other people. Since
Got it.
it's a startup kind of city,
Yeah.
uh, you have people working on really cool things.
Mhm.
And the Data Science India community, yeah, it's when I look at Kaggle,
Yeah.
I see there are people from various countries or various regions there, but Indians are not that active. I
Yeah.
don't know, like they are not getting the support they need or what's lacking, but
I
they're not
think
very
like we don't have a strong representation on the leaderboards or like
exactly.
yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. Like there are people from China, so many of them from
Russia.
Russia, USA,
Yeah.
but you don't find Indian people on the leaderboard, and I don't know why.
So you're trying to change that, sort of create a replace like a Indian version of a competitor of ODS.ai
Yeah,
from
you
India.
can say something like that. Not exactly that, but yeah, I'm with this Slack team. I'm just providing a platform for people to discuss stuff.
Got it. Um, let's talk about competitions. You've also had many great finishes on multiple competitions. So could you tell like which one was your favorite? Which one did you enjoy competing the most in? And what kind of competitions you look for today?
A very old competition that I enjoyed the most was um, Stumble on One.
So
I was
the one where you had your first achievement, so to speak, or success with
yeah
Kaggle. Okay.
yeah I was hoping to be in top three, and
Mhm.
Francois Cholet, Keras guy,
Yeah.
he won that competition.
Not many people know this, but he was very active on Kaggle. I think
He was
back in the days.
on Kaggle. I think he did 7 or 8 competitions.
Mhm.
Um, and um, I learned about natural language processing from there, cleaning HTML text, boilerplate text, these kind
Okay.
of things. So it was quite interesting.
I
I had
think
some very,
people take all of these things for granted today. So like spacing and all, you can do
exactly.
many things, but these were not possible for just a
At
few
that
years
time,
ago.
you didn't have too many libraries to do this for you, so you would
Yeah.
write or write regular expressions.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was quite nice. So I learned a lot from that competition. The models that I built were quite simple, I would say.
Mhm.
These days, everybody would start with neural network, but
Maybe
the model
also in
that
ensemble sometimes. Like that's also baseline for many
that's
people.
that's true. The model at that time, which placed me in, I think I was fifth or sixth,
Mhm.
and that was just a blended version of SVM and logistic regression.
Wow. Okay.
So I learned a lot from that competition, and even from the discussions and everything. So I
Mhm.
would say that was one of my favorite competitions.
Okay.
When it comes to tabular data, I would say Amazon Employee Challenge. That's
Mhm.
also quite old. It was
Okay.
also very good competition.
Mhm. And what sort of challenges are you interested in today? So do you compete in all the competitions or a particular category?
I I'm trying not to compete in all competitions. There are too many.
Yeah.
I don't have resources to compete in competitions these days.
Okay.
So if I start with one image competition, my only GPU is booked. So I have to get something from the cloud, and that's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Kernels have made life a little bit easy now with
Yeah.
providing GPU for several hours.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I use that.
Okay.
These days there are a lot of image competitions going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I will work on probably one or two of them, not all of them.
I
And
think they have a huge chunk of data, like 4 of those that are from Google.
yeah, it's huge. Yeah, one of them has a terabyte of data. The YouTube competition. So
Yeah.
uh, it becomes very difficult. I cannot accommodate. I don't have that big hard drive
Mm-hmm.
right now. So I think 500 gigabytes is not enough
Yeah.
to accommodate more than two competitions these days.
Yeah.
But competitions that I love are NLP.
Mm-hmm.
So the jigsaw competition was something I invested a lot of time in.
For sure.
I learned a lot of stuff. So I learned about BERT and Elmo and
Yeah.
ExcelNet, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Just came in and I read about it, read the papers, and there were so many implementations going on. People shared a lot of cool stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can probably also reuse some of that stuff in the industry I'm working in.
I think it's like even right now, it's very amazing for me to know that even a grandmaster does not know everything. Like you mentioned, you continuously learning while competing
Yeah,
also.
continuously learning, and you're not supposed to know anything. You're a human being.
Yeah. So
And
do you think like Kaggle competitions also serve as a like great learning resource? So if you sign up for a field that you don't know and you want a taste of it, like coming as
yeah,
a fresher to a competition.
yeah, like people are afraid of, let's say, probably image competitions. So
Mhm.
many image, I
Yeah.
won't be able to deal with it. But uh, it has been simplified so much that people are sharing kernels. So you all you have to do is just go take a look at how this guy is approaching the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, DenseNet. What is DenseNet?
Mhm.
Google it.
Yeah.
So you have to spend some time on it, right? And
Mhm.
read the papers and try to understand what convolutional neural networks are,
Yeah.
which is quite basic, or just do a Coursera course
Mhm.
on that.
Got it.
So I think all I have learned was from Kaggle competitions.
Oh.
I didn't do many playground competitions,
Mhm.
so people spend a lot of time in playground competitions like Titanic and
Yeah.
MNES.
Mhm.
So I would suggest start with the real competition because
Because
then you see your rank dropping.
I feel
And
in my experience, like for my first competition, it was really like it hit my face in the wall because you get a live leaderboard and like when it's very active, you submit to the leaderboard, you sleep on it, you wake up, you've fallen down 50
yeah,
positions.
that's true. Yeah, and
So
that hurts.
very much. Forget about shakeups for now, but
Yeah,
even that.
but you learn a lot from it. So
Indeed.
I think I was in a competition where I fell down from first rank in public leaderboard to 30 or
Okay.
something. So I learned a lot about overfitting
Yeah.
and
The hard way.
how to avoid overfitting. So
Yeah.
that also helps you in industry.
Mhm.
You can make some really cool model that's giving you 99% accuracy, present
Yeah.
it to the managers, and everybody is going to be happy about it.
Mhm.
But when you put it live,
Mhm.
it's probably going to fail,
Yeah.
and that will come and bite you.
So
So yeah,
great
don't do that.
advice.
And yeah, that's a learning thing.
Yeah. Also want to ask you, like you, all of these image competitions, like Google ones, I assume would be impossible. But do you think, like today, given the situation where Kaggle is, can someone with like minimal hardware or just using Kaggle kernel also do pretty great on a competition?
Yeah, I have heard a lot of stories about people using only Kaggle kernel. So
Mhm.
in Jigsaw, we trained BERT model. So I rented a V100 GPU on Amazon,
Yeah.
and I was training on that, and it was taking me around 15 hours on a
Wow.
V100.
And for context for the audience, like B100, I think is one of the most powerful graphic cards, if not the most.
Yeah, these days, yes. So my 1080 is 5 times slower than that
Got it.
on this data and training bird. So
Okay.
it would have taken me like 45, 50 hours on my 1080
Mhm.
or my Titan X. And this one took like 15 hours, so which is quite fast.
Yeah.
And then after the competition ended, it has not ended properly yet, but people shared that they trained full bird model in Kaggle kernels
Wow.
within the 9 hour limit. So that was pretty amazing, and I learned a lot. Okay,
Mhm.
how you can reduce the batch sizes or how you can manage the batch sizes in a proper way
Right.
to send it to GPU and then train the model.
Mhm.
So it was quite a learning experience again. And when these guys are doing it and they're getting a rank within the top 25, top 30,
Yeah.
just by using Kaggle kernels, where
Mhm.
you have 3,000 competitors. So yeah, that gives you an idea. Like the GPUs in Kaggle kernel are obviously better than the GPU you have at home.
Mhm. For most
And
of the audience.
you just have to make your code in such a way that it finishes everything within the 9 hour limit, which I think is quite a lot.
I think many people like also overlook this. So it's not just about training the model, it's also about the constraints, because when you're in the real world, constraints do matter. So I think
Exactly.
if you use kernels, that'll also be a good taste of that.
Yeah. It's also about how you code.
Yeah, for sure.
So if your code is efficient, then I think yeah, you can do it in Kaggle kernels too.
Mhm. I think it's also about like these creative solutions, not just the ensemble ones where people are just some
Yeah.
people tend to do the crazy stacking.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, ensembles, yeah, I hate them.
Okay.
But so when kernels started, I was really happy about it
Mhm.
because you get limited resources and everybody has same resources.
Yeah.
But they changed it to inference kernel, so you can train offline.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's okay. You still have kernels, and people use kernels, so you
Yeah.
can train full models in parallel if you want,
Mhm.
and that's good enough, I think.
So also like curious, what are your when you look at a new problem? So I assume like many problems wouldn't be new for you. So when you're starting on a fresh data set or a fresh competition, what are your go-to steps? How do you approach the new problem statement?
By looking at the data, first of all, so how does the data look like? So a lot of people do EDA.
Right.
I don't do that much EDA,
Mhm.
but my first step is to just see the data, look at some rows and columns, what features are,
Mhm.
and then try to build a simple benchmark model,
Okay. So a minimal baseline.
a minimal model.
Okay.
If you plan to use a subset, you can use a subset of data
Hmm.
and then try to improve on it
Okay.
by doing feature engineering or by tuning the hyperparameters or changing the model,
Hmm.
kind of things. So these days, I don't do much EDA. It's because a lot of people are already doing the EDAs when it comes to Kaggle competitions.
Very comprehensive ones for sure.
Yeah, so I can just go. I just wait for a week for competition to start, and then you have so many EDAs. So it's nice. I don't
Yeah.
have to do that part anymore.
Hmm.
So I can just focus. I can just get ideas from there, and I can focus on the model
But you
building part.
definitely like make use of those. You definitely give them a serious look to get a sense of the data.
Most of the time, I give them a serious look. Yes.
Okay. So I think this is also important that data is the primary thing, not the model for many people.
Exactly. And it also depends on what kind of problem you're trying to solve. If you have a
Mhm.
tabular competition and tabular data,
Yeah.
and then you have categorical variables, numerical variables, these kind of things.
Hmm.
So what I've learned from the past, I just try to use them, how to handle these different kinds of categories, build a simple basic model,
Hmm.
and then try to improve on it.
Okay.
So I would start with something quite simple like random forest
Okay.
or logic regression, and
Mhm.
then move to XGBoost like GBM.
Logistic regression still in 2019.
Yeah, I use it from time to time.
Okay. I mean,
It's
it's like
it
not
works.
surprising to me, but many people wouldn't believe that. I suppose.
Many industries are using logistic regression and they call themselves an AI
AI
company. So
company.
yeah.
Fair enough. So
So
yeah,
yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like building a benchmark and then improving on it
Got it.
and keeping a record of it.
Mhm.
So nowadays I keep my code in GitHub. I didn't used to do that previously.
Okay.
And then I know, okay, so I made these changes and the model score went down.
Mhm.
So I should do something else. Building a cross validation system, a good
Mhm.
cross validation system is also very, very necessary.
Mhm.
So it depends on what kind of problem it is, what kind of data it is,
Mhm.
and what kind of target variables you have.
Great.
So you have to look into cross validation a lot.
Mhm. Okay.
Because if you don't have a good cross validation system, then you're not making a
Then
model
you're
that should.
prone to the shake-up for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. So one of the problems for me is like, for example, I have some background knowledge. I start on a competition. I get to a point, and then I run out of ideas. So, what is your suggestion for that? Like, once you're out of ideas or you can't improve further on your model.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot. And um, when we are talking about Kaggle competitions,
Yeah.
um, I mean that also happens in industries. So in industries, there's no one to help you there except your team members. So
Yeah.
you usually discuss or brainstorm with them, and then probably you can come up with some cool solution
Mhm.
or how to improve further.
Mhm.
Um, in Kaggle competitions, when I'm stuck, happen a lot, and it feels quite bad.
Yeah.
But what I do is I try to go in the discussions and read them thoroughly,
Okay. So
and
so
you definitely find something that you are missing.
some hidden clue for sure.
Hidden for sure somewhere.
Got it. And you're also kind enough to continually share these amazing kernels with us. We'll also have your favorites linked in the podcast description. But could you tell us, like, what ideas do you think of when working on a kernel, and what's your workflow when getting started on a kernel?
So I don't want to give away a lot when I'm making these kernels.
Mhm.
So that recently I shared quite a lot of stuff on kernels which use PyTorch,
Mhm.
and it was because I learned PyTorch in the last 3-4 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, and I just wanted to share with people like this is easy. I was scared of PyTorch.
Okay.
I'm a Keras guy. I'm a Keras fan.
Mhm.
TensorFlow Keras.
Great.
But moving to PyTorch was a big step,
Mhm.
and it was pretty easy.
Mhm.
And I just wanted people to show how easy it is and how you can change these for loops, or you can do whatever you want inside these loops, training loops that you
I
have.
assume that's also because you have had this rich experience from TensorFlow and Kara. So also, like, switching to a new framework would have been relatively easier.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what I wanted to share. So, and that's what I will continue to share without giving a lot of stuff or without. I'm not very good at finding magic features, so I cannot share about magic features.
Yeah.
But how to approach a problem, how to just start with it,
As you
and
mentioned, the like how to beat the baseline.
how to yeah how to beat the baseline, how to beat the benchmark.
Got it.
So you so these are the types of kernels that I like to share.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes I'm also sharing some optimization functions or these kind of things,
Yeah.
very simple stuff.
Mhm.
I shared one kernel as a joke, and it got a gold medal, and it's
Yeah.
like 5 lines of code there.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so that was joke kernel, but yeah. Anyways, gold is a
Mhm.
gold.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you also mentioned PyTorch versus TensorFlow. What's like your opinion on that? Like for Kaggle competitions, what would
Python.
you pick now?
I've worked quite a lot on TensorFlow and Keras in the last years,
Mhm.
so I'm very very comfortable with it.
Mhm.
But but only for natural language processing problems. And
Yeah.
when it comes to images, I like PyTorch more
Mhm.
because first of all, when you start with an image competition, you should you can build a small, simple convolutional neural net and see how it's performing. Then what's the next thing you are going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to take some model from some pre-trained model,
Mhm.
right? Let's say
Yeah.
ResNet or something like that, and
Mhm.
try to find the ImageNet weights for it,
Yeah.
and then fine tune.
Mhm.
But it's difficult in TensorFlow and Keras because they don't have a proper model zoo where you can find these weights for
Yeah.
different kinds of models.
Mhm.
And with PyTorch, people seem to be quite fast in doing these kind of things.
Mhm.
So you have a very extensive zoo of models that you can choose from, and
Right.
you also have the weights available, so you don't have to train it from scratch on ImageNet. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's basically one of the very important reasons I like PyTorch for
Mhm.
image problems. I
Mhm.
haven't used TensorFlow 2 yet,
Mhm.
but people say like it's very similar to PyTorch and all the things like all kind of freedom that you get when you use PyTorch.
Right.
You have the same in TensorFlow 2.
Mhm.
So that's next thing that I'm going to try.
Awesome. Also curious, like based on your industry experience, like there's this constant debate: should I learn TensorFlow? Should I learn PyTorch? Do you think like A would be like, is that question even relevant? Like, is the framework important when learning? And B, like, what would you recommend?
Uh, framework is not so important.
Mhm.
Uh, it depends on like when you're in industry. It
Yeah.
also depends on the people who are working there.
Mhm.
So if you want to introduce a new technology, you have to prove that it's better than what we have.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters much, but you can use PyTorch, TensorFlow, or you can use very high level wrappers like FastAI,
Mhm.
but you should understand what's happening inside those functions.
Yeah.
So it's with FastAI, as you see, like it's very easy to build a model,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But only a very few people invest time in understanding how what's happening under the
That's
hood.
true. Yeah.
So they won't even know what kind of optimizer is being used.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so for me, it doesn't matter what kind of framework you're using. Till you're understand if you're understanding what's
Mhm.
happening, that's more important.
I think then also like you can actually just go to any new documentation and even start using that framework once you
Exactly,
have
but
that.
people don't think to do that these
Yeah.
days.
That's
so
great advice for sure.
so yeah.
Um, got it. And do you think like a non quote unquote non-traditional background person can like use Kaggle experience to get a break into the field or like even get a sense of the field?
Yeah, why not? I got my first job because of Kaggle,
Mhm.
second, third, fourth, five, and this is my sixth one. There's a lot of industries, and all of them were because of Kaggle. So
Okay.
when I was when I was doing my PhD,
Yeah.
it was because of Kaggle.
Mhm.
So because I had a good Kaggle profile, and I was at that time I also ranked quite high in some competitions.
Okay.
So yeah, that helped quite a lot, and I think it's true for everyone.
Mhm.
So these days there are like everybody wants to be a data scientist, or everybody is calling themselves a data scientist, but you should have something in your portfolio to show, like some Kaggle competition which are not playground, where you have done some real work. You should share some code on GitHub
Mhm.
so that people can see what kind of how do you write code.
Right.
That's also very important in industries, right? And
Definitely.
yeah, so write some articles and blog posts on okay how you solve this problem, what
Mhm.
was different from your approach and
Mhm.
others approaches.
Got it. Uh, Also want to get like to the like not so good side of Kaggle. So you're also like vocal about the bad practices that go on Kaggle. Like, and what's your advice to beginners like who don't know of this stuff because of the gamification of Kaggle maybe? So how to avoid making these mistakes?
How to avoid doing what?
falling into the trap of like just plagiarizing kernels or like these toxic practices that are getting common like with beginners?
Like what kind of toxic practices are we talking about?
One would be like not crediting the original author. Then
So that's a very simple thing. I mean, I'm the one who is ranting about it most of the times,
yeah,
but it's a very simple thing. I mean, everyone, even if you're a student, like they tell you in the university or your college that don't copy stuff,
yeah,
copy from somewhere, give references. So giving references is something I consider very important,
yeah,
because somebody has put a lot of time and effort and written this kernel for you so that you can learn, and now you take it as it is and
Mhm.
post it as your own
yeah,
without giving any credit. So it that's a bit sad,
yeah.
and I think the original authors, they don't like it. I personally, I don't like it at all.
Most definitely.
That's about plagiarizing. Yeah, be more careful.
Mhm.
Just see what you're posting, give credit. It's not very time consuming thing. It's a one line.
yeah.
So I took this kernel from here and here, and these are my changes to that kernel.
Yeah.
It's a simple. And I don't know what other bad practices are.
Uh,
Um,
Mostly it like originates from these itself, like just like getting to the medal because it's all gamified now. So like
yeah, get something. Yeah, you should not push people. Like,
mhm.
okay, I have written this kernel, and now you're making hundreds of sock puppet accounts to upload that kernel.
Yeah,
Uh, because if you've written something good, people are automatically going to upvote it.
yeah,
So what you can do is you can share it on your LinkedIn,
mhm.
and you can share it on your Twitter, and
Or maybe Slack communities like Kagglers are always
yeah,
hyperactive.
yeah, there are so many Slack communities. You can post it there, and people who find it useful are obviously going to upvote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are many people who don't like to upvote. They just like to copy the kernel
Mhm.
without upvoting, and that's bad. But I think I think there are many grandmasters who are also doing that, who are not upvoting the kernel. So I think
Mhm.
they should do that more often. Whenever I'm using somebody's code, I
Yeah.
have I see a kernel. Okay, I'll use this function. If I've used even a small function from this kernel, I would
Yeah.
give the upvote. So
I
it's
think
it's
that's also one point to everyone. Like if you're using someone's code, please first make sure you upvote, and like if you build on top of it, also make sure that you give credit where it's due.
yeah, exactly.
I also hope that like in my opinion, Kaggle does a design change because if you look at the copy and edit button versus the upvote button, the upvote is like pretty small. It's easy to miss like for someone using it for the first time.
Yeah, it seems like they're experimenting with it, because previously it was fork,
Yep.
now it's copy and edit. When you know that you are copying it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I hope
I hope
they'll address it soon, I think.
or probably just give some points for forking the kernel.
Mhm. And I want to seek advice for you, like for best tips for beginners who like aspire to become a grandmaster maybe someday, since you're a grandmaster in all three categories. So what would be your best advice?
Uh, so what I've seen personally,
Mhm.
people people would start with the competition, and rank will fall down. Obviously, you're in top 10 on the very first day,
Yep.
because it's the first day people have not joined.
Yeah.
So don't brag about it, first of all.
Mhm.
And when the time passes, you are probably 900 or 1000 ranks.
Mhm.
And then people get, I don't know, people get depressed or something, and they don't continue with that competition anymore.
They end up giving
Or,
up.
yeah, they tend to give up very
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah.
Or you did one competition, your rank was good, but private leaderboard was revealed, and then your rank was not good at all.
Mhm.
Then people tend to give up. They don't continue with the next competition. So there are many people who have done only one or two competitions on Kaggle. After
Yeah.
that, they have given up, probably because of their jobs or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
But if you're a student, you have a lot of time
Yeah.
there. So I think you should be persistent.
Mhm.
So even if you didn't perform well, read how the winner approached the problem.
Learn from your mistakes, like in one way.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes and try to keep those mistakes in your mind when you're doing the next one. And you have to be hardworking. You have to find time. So
Yep.
even if you have like a couple of hours every day, I think that's more than enough.
And it for sure like multiplies exponentially like throughout the year. People tend to miss out on that also.
Yeah, that's true.
And
So
sorry, please go ahead.
yeah, so the thing is, don't never give up.
Got it.
Yeah, and keep doing the competitions, and you will improve. Maybe not after 1 or 2 or 3, maybe after 10 competitions, but you will improve.
And what about for like the second category of people who like feel intimidated because there are all these amazing people who just smash the leaderboard in 1 or 2 submissions? So
I don't know. Even I feel intimidated by these people.
wow.
So it happens, but then you should look at what you're doing incorrectly. So that's what I do. So I'm working on something. Let's say I got a 80% accuracy, and it ranked quite high. And then I see like this guy joins in within 2 submissions. He has 90%. That's crazy. But you have to understand that like it's probably something that you are overlooking.
Yep.
What I do is I revisit my code and I see, okay, is there a mistake or is there something that can be improved? Revisit feature engineering, see the EDA again. Is there something that's some kind of feature that's missing from there? When it comes to magic feature, because sometimes it happens when there is a magic feature and somebody has found it, I haven't, or you haven't, then it becomes more difficult. So then you have to start looking at the discussions, trying to figure out what's happening there. And in those cases, you can't do anything, right? So either you find it or you don't.
Yep. But otherwise, just keep iterating on the problem.
Yeah, but I would say like you should not be intimidated by these people who are performing very well in very less number of submissions. It's also because they have worked their asses off in the past.
Definitely.
And they know the stuff they are working on. And if you're a newbie, then you have to work a lot more harder to reach that level. And someday it could be you who is intimidating this.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it.
Awesome. Thanks for all the advices. Before we conclude, like, what would be the best platforms to follow you apart from Kaggle?
Best platforms to follow me?
Follow your work?
I share a lot on, not a lot, but I share quite often on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Okay.
I'm also very active in all kinds of Slack teams
related
to Kaggle, so you can find me I think in all of the Slack teams.
I'll make sure to have all these things linked down below.
So I'm active in Russia, Japan, China, India.
No. Okay.
All these Slack teams.
So if chances are, if you're on a data science community, you will be there.
Yeah, you will probably find me there.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much again for taking the time, and big congratulations to you on winning the title.
Thank you very much for the call. It was very nice.
Right.
I hope you won the leaderboard.
Hopefully someday.
Yeah. Like you were also not competing that much, right?
Not recently.
Yeah. So see you there soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to give it a review or feel free to shoot me a message. You can find all of the social media links in the description. If you like the show, please subscribe and tune in each week to Chai Time Data Science.